friends, Gary here. Welcome to today's video. Today I will be answering your comments and questions. There are many interesting questions and hopefully I can provide great answers for you. And let's begin with the first question right away. First question is from Chris Kisnal 6595 and you can read the questions right there, but basically it's about using APS-C camera for video instead of Micro Four Thirds, specifically the A6700, regarding about the autofocus, overheat, pros and cons. And yeah, over here I have my Sony ZV E10 that I featured on my Micro Four Thirds versus APS-C video, and I personally use this camera specifically for video most of the time to record A-roll in my studio in a very controlled environment. And the way I record my YouTube video is that I record in 1080, so not in 4K, and that's why this camera doesn't overheat at all. But if you record in 4K, I would probably pay more attention because it could probably overheat quickly. Maybe you record smaller segments of videos rather than one very long take of video to prevent overheat. Regarding autofocus, yes, the continuous autofocus of this guy for video is unmatched. It is so great, it is so reliable, it is so consistent, and I won't hesitate to use this for video. I can just walk around, move left, move to the right, I can go forward, go back, and the autofocus will track me wherever I go, so that can solve your issue when it comes to autofocus. Regarding about Micro Four Thirds versus APS-C for video, yeah, if you need continuous autofocus, then definitely go with APS-C. I'm not going to sugarcoat it unless you have the budget for something like a Panasonic GH7 or maybe the OM1 or maybe something like the G9 Mark II, which has face detect autofocus, and that will have great autofocus. However, for me personally, I still love my Micro Four Thirds cameras specifically for photography. Everyday photography, travel photography, I think they are still unmatched. The way the camera performs, the interface, they just make a lot of sense for everyday photography. The tactility, it's so much different. I mean, one time I tried to use the ZV E10 for travel photography. I was riding a train to Jakarta, and on the way I tried to capture some photos. While the continuous autofocus for video is really great, for still photography, the autofocus struggles, and it's just not a pleasant experience to use this camera for run and gun shooting kind of situation. Not like my Micro Four Thirds camera. I can really depend on them for everyday photography, travel photography, and even also for a little bit of B-roll as long as I don't need continuous autofocus. Hopefully this helps. Comment number 2 is from Extrachersisimos 7037. I took a screenshot of your prime lenses on your desk. I do love because I have so many MFT lenses too, and I've arranged them on my desk as well because I want to sell some since I have too many. I also had the problem with ribbon cable on my 9 to 18mm lens. The repair cost me 200 euros. That design was not good of Olympus. Well, yes, I can totally relate with too many lenses. I have that problem as well. I am still trying to recover from gear acquisition syndrome, but whenever I try to get rid of one of my lenses, I ended up with a new one instead. So instead of my collection getting smaller, it keeps expanding, just like a black hole where all of my money goes and it turns into lenses. But anyway, yeah, the 9 to 18mm with the ribbon cable issue is such a shame because the 9 to 18 was a great lens. I took it to New Zealand in 2017. I took so many great shots there and the lens performed wonderfully. But yeah, Micro Four Thirds as a format in general, I think it is just such a fun format where you can have smaller little lenses and do everyday photography and just have fun with photography in general. Next comment is from Video Carl. Thanks for sharing. Here's a vlog idea. If you're adding one expensive lens to your kit, which would it be? For me, it's a 12 to 40mm f2.8 to complement the 35 to 100 mini, 100 to 360, 1725 f1.7. Nothing's pulling me below 12mm, so I don't have to choose between the Lumix 9 or OM system 9 to 18. Well, for me, my one favorite expensive lens to add into the collection of budget lenses is this guy right here. Let me pull it out for you. It's the Panasonic Leica 15mm f1.7. Not exactly that expensive, you know, grandeur, massive professional lens with weather sealing and whatnot, but it's just a lens that I enjoy using so much, especially for everyday photography, sometimes travel photography and street photography as well, because the focal length is very forgiving. 15mm is very similar to the focal length of my smartphone, so perfect for, you know, quick dates to coffee shop with my wife, or just exploring someplace during the weekend, you know, weekend getaway somewhere, just some quick vacation with the lens. I think this will perform really well. This is great for environmental portrait. This is also great for a little bit of product photography, scenery, all that kind of stuff. So very flexible and also small as well. So carrying it around is not a big problem for me. Yeah, just love this lens so much. Next comment is from w.a.alasha. I got Panasonic Leica 1260mm f2.8 to f4 and it's amazing. May I ask how you choose the lenses for your regular photography? For me, it's about focal length. If I'm allowed to bring multiple lenses, then usually one is ultra wide, one is a regular medium wide angle or normal kind of focal length, and one is usually a telephoto. For example, 9mm for the ultra wide, and then 15mm for my normal wide, and then 45mm for telephoto. Another example, I can just bring two lenses instead. 9mm for the ultra wide, and then 14 to 140 for everything from moderate wide angle all the way to telephoto. It's all about focal length. However, if I'm only allowed to bring just one lens, if it's not a zoom lens, something like a 12 to 32 kit lens, then usually it's going to be something like the Panasonic Leica 15mm f1.7. Again, as I mentioned in the previous comments, it's very forgiving, it's very easy to use, the image quality is great, and I just love to use this lens so much for my everyday photography. Next comment is from LA3388. Hi, I use the basic one 12 to 32mm Lumix in daylight most of the time as versatile and convenient. The Lumix 20mm f1.7 when low light or portrait, my favorite micro four thirds lens so far. I have the 25mm f1.4 TTArtisan, but manual focus for living subject, not convenient for me. I miss most of photos. Yes, I agree regarding manual focus. Especially with longer lenses, it will be difficult to focus precisely, so you have to take your time, be very careful, and double check your focus whenever you are doing portraits or stuff like that. And that's why I much prefer, as you said, the 20mm f1.7 for everyday kind of stuff. But that will change really soon. I'm currently saving up a little bit of money. Spoiler alert, I will get a new lens in the next few months, hopefully sooner than later. Next comment is from Armin Gutschick 9105. Great video. I just bought the TTArtisan 25mm f2.0. Another interesting option. Well, thank you so much. And I've just recently checked the TTArtisan 25mm. I think that's a great choice because it is so small, it is so compact, and I think that will be a great choice for everyday photography as well. I haven't got any personal experience with that lens, but stay tuned because maybe next year I will try to get my hands on that one as well. Next comment is from TatterAndy3958. Great video, your last three lenses would make a great vintage lens substitute for modern micro four thirds and as a Leica fan set. Thank you very much. And yeah, the last three lenses of that video are the 7 Artisans 10mm f3.5, TTArtisan 23mm f1.4, and TTArtisan 50mm f1.2. Yes, the holy trinity. Ultra wide, normal kind of lens, and also telephoto. yes, I think they are kind of vintagey, they have that old school kind of vibe, and I think they will be great, especially if you're a fan of something like a Leica rangefinder. No, they're not going to replace the rangefinder experience where you have to do focusing using the rangefinder mechanism, trying to align that box inside of the viewfinder of a real Leica M camera. But at least they're fun to use. They provide so much enjoyment when you are out and about. And yeah, as long as you don't really need critical focusing, I mean, they are manual focus, so you have to take that into consideration. They will provide a lot of joy. Last but not least, the comment is from Billy Cheng 2800. If I already have the 45mm f1.8, should I get the 50mm f1.2? Excellent question. Let me quickly grab the lenses for you. So over here, the Olympus 45mm and the TTArtisan 50mm. I use the Olympus 45mm as my de facto standard portrait lens when I want something small, compact, but can produce great image quality with reasonable amount of background blur, while the TTArtisan 50mm with its large f1.2 aperture promises better background blur and also slightly better low light performance. So my personal answer to you is, unless you really need that larger f1.2 aperture, I'd say stick with the Olympus 45mm because it is an autofocus lens. It will be much easier for you. Now you might be asking, how much of a difference is the background blur between f1.2 and f1.8? I cannot really give you a scientific answer, but last year I made a video comparing so many different lenses for product photography with my Christmas tree as sort of a background, so you can get that bokeh balls and you can judge kind of the amount of background blur by looking at the pictures. And I will put the video right here so you can watch it yourself. And yeah, two of the lenses that were being tested on that video is the Olympus 45 and the TTArtisan 50mm f1.2. Once again, I'd say stick with your Olympus. Don't be tempted with the TTArtisan, again, unless you really need that large f1.2 aperture. And that wraps up today's question and answer session. Hopefully my answers are able to better help you explain some of the questions that we have in today's video. Hopefully this is also interesting, entertaining, and fun as well. If you have more questions, please don't hesitate to comment down below or comment on any of my videos. I will be more than happy to reply to your comments and questions. I love to do this kind of video, and hopefully you guys are also enjoying this question and answer episodes too, because with this video format I can better explain some stuffs and hopefully my answers can be more entertaining for you as well. As always, don't forget to support my channel by liking this video, sharing this video, subscribing to my channel down below. If you want to support my work even further, consider becoming a paid member of my Patreon, where you will get exclusive content, tutorials, being able to download my photos, and also my Lightroom preset as well, with the link right here. You can also participate in the collective gallery, where I encourage you to take more photos and share your photo with us, and I will feature them in one of my videos. Also, you can use the affiliate links down below. I will get a small kickback, but you will get some discount on select services and products. Thank you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay healthy, take care, goodbye.